Welcome to Modern Psychedelics, where we explore the transformations made possible through intentional engagement with psychedelics. This podcast will help you integrate high consciousness living into the everyday and deepen the work ignited by altered states. You can expect balanced and grounded conversations around therapeutic, ceremonial, and recreational containers. My name is Lana Pribic, your host and guide. I am a 3-time certified professional life coach, and I work with people who want to integrate higher levels of consciousness into their daily lives so they can feel more peace, fulfillment, and connection. After all, our time here on Earth is so brief, so let's make sure we're really living. The song you hear is called Lost Horizon by Peace Sign. All right, let's journey. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. It has been a while since I've put out a new episode, and here we are today with a brand new installment of the Journey series. This is a series where I sit down and have a conversation with some of my clients that I have worked with in my 6-month coaching container to share their stories of transformation and really the real behind the scenes evolution that unfolds once you decide to do the inner work in a structured and supportive container with me. Before I get into this conversation with Nadi, I just want to say hello from Mexico. It is an honor and a joy to be recording this from an Iboga retreat. I am here with the Eterio team, and I am not laying down with the Iboga medicine this time. As many of you know, I have already done that this year, earlier in April. And I am definitely not needing any more medicine myself. However, I am here as a ceremonial helper, and it is just such a beautiful, beautiful opportunity that I honestly only dreamed of having years ago. So it's pretty cool to have your dreams come true. And so I'm here in beautiful Todos Santos, where the desert meets the Pacific Ocean. It's absolutely gorgeous here. I got my Baja sun glow on from being in the sunshine, and it's been an intense week. The guests are actually laying down with the medicine for the second time tonight, so we're just about halfway through this retreat, and it's been challenging, it's been expansive, I've been learning a lot, and it's always such an honor to be around Iboga people, to learn more about the medicine and to learn more about Bwiti. I'm here with the Eterio team, which is where I did my previous Iboga experience. If you guys are interested in learning more about that and hearing about that, you can go ahead and check out the previous episodes. And I also interviewed the lead provider, Paige Alexandra West, a few times on my episode. The last time more recently where she shared about her Thong initiation. And so, yeah, being here has been a wonderful learning opportunity. And I am really here to be exposed to the vast variety of different people and cases that come to work with this medicine, because I also work as an Iboga preparation and integration coach. So for anyone out there who is going to be working with Iboga, if you are looking for preparation and integration support, it's highly recommended. And I have designed a very comprehensive preparation and integration program. It's called Doing the Work with Iboga, and please check that out if you're looking for that support. I'll link it below in the show notes. It's a combination of one-on-one coaching and a course that takes you through information, education, and also prompts and activations to help you prepare for and integrate for your experience. So I'm really here to just become even better at providing that service for people, so check that out. And also, if you are inspired by Nadi's story, she wasn't an Iboga client, she was a client in my 6-month consciousness coaching, energy coaching container, where we work with the 7 levels of energy and consciousness to release limiting beliefs, assumptions, inner narratives that hold you back from really being the person you know you are. and who you want to be. So that's the container that Nadi was in. So if Nadi's story inspires you and speaks to you and you would like similar support in working with me, I am just offboarding a couple of clients right now, which means I have some seats opening. So if you want to apply for that or learn more about that, I'll also leave the link for that down below. It's just my 6-month coaching program. So check all of those out. And without a further ado, this conversation with Nadi is one that I know that entrepreneurs, creatives, people who are kind of dipping their toes into working with psychedelics to enhance their lives in different ways will relate with. Nadi is an architect, business owner, and now a PhD student. She has spent over 2 decades designing these physical spaces, these gorgeous physical spaces. And then one day she realized that the most important blueprint she would ever design was the one within herself, right? She had done the outer work obviously so well, but it was the inner work that she wanted to shine a light on. And so when Nadi first came to coaching with me, she was and continues to run a successful architecture firm in Vancouver, managing multiple projects, juggling constant demands, lots of sleepless nights, kind of burning the candle on both ends. And from the outside, of course, everything looked perfect and she looked very successful. But inside, Nadi shared with me that she was overwhelmed, burnt out, and really disconnected from her creativity and joy, which as someone in a creative field, staying connected to your creativity, your joy, and that high consciousness energy that allows us to tap into creativity, that was lacking for her. And so over 6 months of deep work together, Nadi began to rebuild her inner foundation, her inner architecture, not as a business strategy. I'm not the coach for that. If you want a business strategist, that's not me. But if you want an inner work and energy strategist, that's where I come in. And so she really worked on an energetic and belief level transformation that has now been felt on the outside as well. She learned to start saying no without guilt. She learned to set boundaries that were really rooted in self-respect. She reframed her relationship with money. We really looked at her money story, her money beliefs. And, most importantly, she learned to lead from a place of trust rather than control, and has been able to inspire and work with her team in a very, very different way. And so in this episode, Nadi shares what it looks like to move from being the architect of buildings to becoming the architect of your belief systems, your mindset, your creative process, your energy, ultimately your life. It's really, really inspiring to hear Nadi speak. If you're someone who is in a leadership field, in a creative industry, or simply someone who tends to overgive, overwork, overdo, this conversation is going to meet you right where you're at. It's about creating a life and a career that are both successful and soulful and meaningful and purposeful. So let's dive into the journey with Nadi. Enjoy. Hi, Nadi. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Lana. Thanks for having me here.
I'm so happy to see you today. So we started working together in a coaching container over a year ago, and we wrapped up in Feb of this year. So it's been about 8 months since I've seen you.
Absolutely,
Since
yes.
we've seen each other, and it just feels so good. And I actually don't know what's been going on in your life too much.
I know.
Catch up and hear what's been going on. But can you please introduce yourself to our audience today? Let us know who you are, what you do.
Yeah. So my name is Nadi. I'm originally from Iran, but I've been living in Canada for 25 years. So Canada is home for me. Living in Vancouver, and I studied architecture, and that's what I have done through the past 20-something years in my life. Like 12 years ago, I started my own practice of architecture, and I've been busy with work and running a business. So that's me in a nutshell for the past,
Can you let people know what kind of architecture you do and what kind of projects you work on?
I used to work in large firms doing all fancy, glamorous projects. I've been working in New York, Boston, fantastic firms in Vancouver. When I started my own business, I had to rescale the project size and relearn architecture again under my own practice. And I started from single family homes, and now I'm expanding to larger projects, multifamilies, some commercials, basically mid-sized projects. So that's basically what my focus is these days.
Yeah. Yeah. And work and what you do is just such a big part of you and such a big part of who you are. And you pour so much of your energy and your creativity, your creative energy into what you do. So, yeah, we'll link Nadi's website down below for anyone
thank you.
curious to see what beautiful buildings and homes that you've been working on over these years. But when you reached out to me, obviously on the outside, you had built some really stunning spaces across North America. You're clearly smart, focused, talented, hardworking, sharp, creative, all of these things. And yet there is something happening beneath the surface that you wanted to bring your attention to through coaching. So can you let listeners in a little bit on what was happening beneath the surface, emotionally, energetically, maybe even mentally, that led you to reach out for support in the form of a coach?
Yeah. So when I started my business, I had to start from the scratch. I didn't have any clientele, minimum contacts, and everything started from one project. But I realized I need to show up in my extreme best capacity so I can introduce myself to the world and to everyone that I can get the projects from. And I have a tendency to work super fast and taking on lots of work and answering phone calls all the time, answering emails right away. And to begin with, maybe it was necessary to start a business and establish myself in the industry. But at some point, after 12 years, I realized I'm doing so much so fast with no break that when I reached out to you, I realized I'm so burned out, overwhelmed. And also, the work was not giving me that inspiration that I was dreaming for. And maybe one reason was because I was saying yes to everything that was coming to my way. At some point, I lost the connection to what is true to myself and what was my value on selecting the clients and the projects. And I remember we spent a good amount of time on talking about the values and the clientele that I'm looking for and the projects that I'm dreaming for. And when I'm so invested my time and energy just to get the job done, there is no time left for me to go back and reset and reevaluate where I'm at this point. So when I reached out to you, I was completely tired and overwhelmed, and I realized my energy is so scattered, and architecture is usually considered a very creative profession, but I realized that fountain and reservoir of creativity for me is so dried out, and I need to fit it in and just try to rejuvenate that part of my profession.
Yeah, it sounds like you were kind of on the hamster wheel, doing the motions, doing the things, and then one day you stopped and looked around you and said, "Where am I? And where is that passion and that love for the creative aspects of my profession that I once loved? It seems like I'm not really making space to prioritize that as a part of my day-to-day at work." And we spent time looking at really those underlying energetic patterns. And when I say underlying energetic patterns, we're really talking about the belief systems that drive our thoughts, that drive our emotions, that drive our actions. Those patterns that were leading to this draining effect, right? These energetic patterns that were making you feel like you had to do it all and you had to say yes to everyone and everything, and you couldn't delegate, you couldn't say no, didn't even have a sense of what it's like to actually empower other people through delegation. And I know that we talked about that as well. Yeah, there was a lot there, and the tip of the iceberg, like the part that you could actually see, was exhaustion, drain, disconnection from yourself. But we didn't really know what was beneath the surface. And so we went on a journey together to look at that.
Yeah, and there were some sessions that was going really deep. Like, it was very reflective. It was very I started with a topic. I remember first day you told me that every session I need to come up with a question, with a topic. And it wasn't easy to choose from so many topics. And some sessions I didn't know what I'm going to talk about. We started from one point, and then the end result, end of the session, I was in a different place than when I started. And it was such a surprise that I started with one question. And as you mentioned, looking at the underlaying of those decision makings and patterns is coming from somewhere else that I need to look into that. So that was a huge shift of my perspective to why I make some decisions and why I keep repeating and the pattern of the behavior I have.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, that's exactly what we want. Anyone who goes through a program like this to get is a deeper understanding of why you are the way you are, why you're doing what you do. It's similar to a psychedelic experience, right? I always say that the 6 months that we spent together is like a slow burn psychedelic experience. Yeah. You're going pretty deep. I'm curious. Okay, let's jump forward for a second to today, and then we're going to take listeners back to how we got there. I actually don't like. What's your energy like today? How's work feeling? How are you feeling? How's life feeling? What's that situation been like?
Okay, I should tell you news, because when I reached out to you, one of my decision making was to apply for a PhD program.
Yes.
And that was the part we spent a good amount of time. And just tell you the end result, now I'm officially a PhD student. So I'm extremely excited and happy. But getting to that point, thank you very much.
So thrilled about that.
Yes, but getting to just making a decision to, with all the things that are going on with the business and responsibilities, I already was burned out and I didn't know, just going back to school, how is that going to help me? And if it's going to help me. And why am I thinking that I need to do that? And we spend a good amount of time to think that where is this, let's call, calling coming from? And is it for me to feed my egos and adding few more titles to my signature, or is this something that I really want? And we spent a good amount of time on that not the how to apply for the program, but why I'm doing that and going through the process of doing that and trying to understand why I need that. And for me, it was realizing that I need to feed my creativity. I need to create a focus for myself besides work. I need to create that space to be able to be surrounded with like-minded people, professionals, people in academic, and allow myself to do some deep research and trying to really address whatever I found a challenge in my practice. So school started in September, and I never feel any happier. Like every time I go to the classes, I feel like, oh my God, that's exactly what I needed. Like I talk to my teams and my advisors and professors, and I feel so refreshed and young, and oh my God, that curiosity that was lost under so many works and projects, now it's turned on again, and it's lots of work, but I'm extremely happy that I'm in that program, and I wouldn't be to this point if I didn't go through this process, which happened with your help, for sure. And now I'm confident that despite all the work that I have, I can spend extra time being awake till midnight to go through those school projects. I'm certain that what I'm doing is because I know what kind of a value it's going to bring to myself and my life and my career. Answering to your question about the energy level, I feel really high and feeling so happy that I'm going through this path.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what I am actually hearing you say is that in making this decision to go back to do your PhD, you wanted to make sure that it was something that you truly wanted to do, that it was true for you, that you were doing it for yourself, and that you were making that decision from a place of incredible clarity and alignment with your values, and also what it is that you're wanting to create in your life for yourself. More creativity, more opportunities, build upon the knowledge that you already have, and who knows what doors this is going to open for you. But the thing about decision making is that everyone can feel when they are making a decision that is the right decision for them. We can just feel it when it's just, yes, we all know that feeling of a sharp, clean, clear yes. And we all know that feeling of a foggy, muddy, uncertain, not so confident yes. And for you, your yes was a little bit muddy. And it turned really clear, and it could have gone either way. There was points where we were working together where I was like, oh, there's no way she's going to do that PhD. Like, I was like, there's no way. It was, and that's the magic of this coaching journey, is that, yeah, we don't know where it's going to go.
Exactly.
You landed in that place of clarity for yourself, where you were like, no, this is something that I want to do. And when you first reached out to me, you wanted guidance on narrowing down what is essential and true to myself. And yeah, tell us a little bit about that. How has this experience and all the work that you've done helped you narrow down what is essential to yourself and true to yourself, and how are you using that to make decisions and to guide you? How do you know what's true and essential to yourself? Yeah,
narrowing down, I believe it comes down to saying no to so many things, so many options available. And part of it is just knowing ourselves, knowing the values, and being honest to ourselves, honest and open, and revisiting whatever is giving me the energy, and evaluating whatever is coming to my path. I need to look into that from a high level and look at it and say, okay, is this going to serve my purpose or not? There's so many good things that we can do in this life, and it's easy to get distracted. So narrowing down gives us focus, and it's all about setting up the boundaries and saying no. I was going through my journal as I was getting ready for this session, and I realized the key words that I've used in my journal is saying no, setting up the boundaries, and take on less, do less, and go deeper.
You don't know how good it is to hear you say those words.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, work in progress, but at least I have it in my mind.
Yeah. You've made massive progress with boundaries.
I know.
And saying no became your favorite word at some point. I know that a lot of people listening really struggle with that, just the same way that you once did. What was it that shifted for you internally, energetically, that allowed you to actually start saying no and setting boundaries without guilt?
Oh, yeah. The guilt part is the difficult part, because by saying no, we are just closing the doors to so many other things, to people, to opportunities, to unknown path. And as I said, I was at the point that I was overwhelmed and carrying too many plates in my hand, and I was about to drop them all at once and break them all. I realized I need to offload some of those weight that I'm taking in, create a space for myself, and making that boundaries very tight, and to see what will happen, to see what saying the first no, how does it feel? Maybe the first one was with guilt and doubt and questioning, maybe I could have said yes, what will happen? And I was reviewing whatever has happened for me in my career, in my relationship with people. And I realized that this is for me to respect my own space, my own time, my own energy. And I need to look inward and open up some time for myself by saying no. And reviewing what is most available and valuable for me and tap into that. And guilt and shame, oh my God, it's just it came so many times in different situations, in different sessions. And I remember we spent a good time on when we were doing the Eli assessment to realize where our starting point is. I realized I have the tendency to helping people. And then for me, it was always a value. Like, I guess it's most of the cultures, helping people is a value. And being at service is also something that everybody is appreciated and everyone is talking about it. But I found there is a fine line to find the boundaries between being at service, being selfless, and being selfish. Where is that line going to be? And I had this tendency to overextend my help to friends, to people that I work with, and at some point, I forgot about what is most important for me at that time, although I was doing a good action, a positive action that everyone in the world is agree on, okay, helping people is a good thing, but I was not at service to myself. So at some point, it's good to put ourselves first and see what are our needs going to be at that point, and how far can I extend it? What is my capacity? And yeah. So working around that and learning, just saying no without guilt and shame, it's a progress, and it doesn't happen without evaluating what our value systems are and what the important decision at that moment is going to be.
I'm really curious about how this inner shift for you, learning to say no, setting boundaries, seeing that actually there could be some value in this and that there is a fine line between service and selfishness, service to others and service to oneself, let's say. I'm curious what changed for you as a leader at work, because you run your own firm, you're responsible for many people. People look up to you for guidance. You're a crucial and key energy at your firm. You really set the tone, like most leaders, like all leaders, for the firm, the people, the way work is done, the way that projects are completed, the end results of the project. So what changed within you as a leader when you shifted your energy and you started releasing some of that guilt and you started saying no and you started empowering others to do the thing rather than doing it for them? Yeah. What changed in your leadership?
So for me, it was exactly first choosing the right people to work with at work. If I choose the right person with the right skills, then I've done half of my work. And then for me is how much guidance I'm going to give them. And as you mentioned, empowering them. Choosing the right people, empowering them and trusting them, and giving them enough space to be also creative and to also show up at their best. And for me, as a leader, as business owner, is to overseeing their work, delegating the work to them and overseeing their work, and insert my guidance like when is necessary. And at the same time I'm reviewing their progress, I can also give my feedback to them. So for me, it's also another skill set to learn to delegate, to learn to choose the right people to work with, and make sure they have enough guidance and let them show up at their best. Mm-hmm. And it's also create a very productive work environment for sure.
And all of that sounds great, right? Trusting the people that you work with, giving them space to show up to be their best, giving them space for their own creativity to flourish. So all of that sounds great, but what was the inner shift that you had to create for yourself in order to be someone who can trust others and not need to micromanage and not feel like she had to do it all the time? What was that shift? What changed in the way that maybe you viewed yourself, you viewed others, you viewed boundaries that allowed you to make that jump?
For me, it was trying to go to the state of flow in decision making, and coming from a controlling and judging and being in a victim mode and trying to move forward, going in a higher level and trusting myself and my ability to provide enough feedback and guidance for people and choosing the right people. For me, so basically everything starts from self and me trusting myself and also allowing people to be at their best. So for me, that shift started from, and letting go of that control is also a very great decision. It allows lots of flow and lightness and creates space for creativity.
Yeah. What helped you start letting go of some of that control?
Definitely the process we went through. We reviewed all those energy levels and level 1 and being in the victim zone and judgmental zone and seeing what is possible and available, level 5, level 6, level 7, to love the entire universe. And when we know there are more options available rather than what I have constrained myself, there are other options. I can move beyond that. And for me, having a higher goal allowed me to go through that shift, I believe.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that expanding your awareness and your possibilities of the ways that it's possible for you to show up and for you to use your own energy, it played a big role in actually helping you expand into that and expand beyond that victim, beyond the control, beyond the judgment, into a more non-judgmental, trusting, open, loving, powerful place, right?
Absolutely.
And what a different leader you must be when you're a catabolic leader versus an anabolic leader, right?
When working intentionally with plant medicines, having your own safe supply at a reasonable cost is so important. And it's much more accessible than you might think. And yes, I'm talking about everyone's favorite mind-bending mushrooms. I was so thrilled when I discovered Happy Mushrooms, a totally done-for-you grow kit that makes cultivating your own sacred medicine incredibly easy. Look, I've done the whole process with all the equipment before. I've ordered it all from Amazon, the syringes, the soil, all of it, and it's just not worth it. Happy Mushrooms means no spores, no expensive equipment, no lab setup. You don't even have to open the bag. Seriously, you just place the kit somewhere in your house with ambient light and good airflow and just let nature do its thing. And in 3 weeks, you'll be harvesting your own mushrooms, up to 56 grams or 2 full ounces. Guys, that's over a $500 value from a simple, discreet, ready to grow kit. Whether you're deepening your healing journey or simply want more sovereignty in your practice, this is such a powerful way to take your path into your own hands. There's nothing technical here, no touching, no spraying, no syringes, no stress, just patience rewarded with abundance. So if you're curious about growing your own supply, this is your sign. Visit happymushrooms.com to learn more and get started. And they were so kind to offer my listeners 15% off with the code LANA15. That's happymushrooms.com and LANA15 at checkout to get your stress-free, ready-to-grow mushroom kit. Happy growing and happy exploring.
Yeah, I guess as a leader, when you're around people, they definitely work with your energy as well. When they see me like stressed out and burned out and tired and not satisfied with the end result, it will definitely reflect to their work too, rather than just trying to see someone who can trust others and not to be micromanaging and be in a very open and light state of mind. Definitely will shift everyone around me, and it will reflect into their energy as well.
Yeah, and how much of that do you think was you walking that line between service and selfishness? How did being in service to yourself first and bringing some of that service energy inward rather than just bringing it outwards, because caretaking, being in service, that energy, a lot of us have no problem with bringing that outwards towards other people, but we really struggle with bringing it inwards towards ourselves. How much did being in service to yourself impact your leadership and how you showed up for your team?
Oh, yeah. I remember we talked about health and wellness, and sleep for me was the biggest issue. I've been challenging with just sleeping, and at some point, back to the guilt. For me, I feel like a sense of guilt when I allow myself to rest. And as much as we know that taking rest is as necessary, as important of getting the job done. So yeah, we worked on sleeping, which is like very crucial, on health. And I remember you gave me like fantastic tips, from suggesting supplements to how to put like a red filter on my phone, and like from simple adds on to the life, and also shifting my mindset that it's okay to rest, it's okay to sleep, and we need that. So health and taking care of self was coming up at the very early sessions with us, and that was super important. I'm still working on it. Like, just taking rest for me is not the easiest thing to do. I remember you suggested to have one day with no plan and no agenda, and I was like shocked. Like, how can I do that? Or just leaving home.
Have you done that yet?
Half a day, maybe.
Okay, we'll take
one
it.
full day, yeah. But it's a progress. So I'm proud.
And how was that day for you, to do nothing and to have no plan? And to just
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, after that session, I canceled everything that I had planned for that day,
Right.
and yeah, and it was a nice fall day. I left home and I went for a walk with no plan, and did some window shopping. And I remember I tried different hats and sunglasses without even thinking that I need to buy or anything, just working on guilt and shame, and working on I don't need to do things just to be productive, or like taking a rest is also part of being productive. And that was a fun day, and ended with espresso martini. Yeah, that was.
You're able to take some more of those days.
Yes.
Yourself, or afternoons or evenings.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we talked a lot, obviously, about like leadership and work, and then we also talked about health and wellness. Another area that I remember us diving into was money and finances, and that was all tied to visibility and self-worth. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and what that journey with money has been like for you?
Yeah. I remember this topic came on towards the very end sessions, and was one of those.
There was an earlier one too that we talked about money, and then we.
Yes, we looked back. That's correct. Yes. Yeah, I was maybe unconsciously trying to avoid it. Some part of it is maybe because of the upbringing, the thinking money is equal to being materialistic and to being needy and greedy, and we should do things just part of being at service and without thinking about the money. And as a business owner, having that challenge and thinking about money as something that is gonna has some morality attached to it, it's not easy. And I remember we discussed that you suggested to look at money as a neutral topic. It's not good or it's not bad. It's just
A neutral energy.
Neutral energy is just an exchange, and it's not about worthiness. That was a fantastic topic. You spent a good amount of time on it. You suggested some books to read, and I also was very self-reflective to see where is that coming from. Where was the start point of that, to think about money as like bad, as something that is not good. But that one really helped me when I'm writing a new contract, doing some negotiation at business, trying to see what kind of a value I bring to the table, to that project. And the value that I'm bringing, money is an exchange of that. And that will help a lot to filter some of those noises around the work, some of unwanted projects that if my value is not going to be met or is not needed for this project, then I'm going to filter this project, or the client is going to filter me, and that's absolutely fine. It will it will open up my calendar for better projects, for people who are aligned with my mindset, who are looking for what I can bring to their projects. Just doing faster and cheaper is not beneficial to me and to the work and to the practice. So yeah, going through the money was very challenging, very deep and reflective topic that we worked on.
Yeah, there was a lot of family stories, cultural stories that we had to untangle to really start viewing money from a very neutral, not charged perspective. Right?
Correct, yeah.
And kind of connected to that is you allowing yourself to be seen and celebrated, and allowing yourself to be acknowledged, whether through money or through praise or whatever it is, for the work that you do and for your success. Can you tell us a little bit about how you went from hiding or being shy about your success in your work, and maybe how you feel about yourself as a woman, a professional today?
Yeah. Exactly. At some point, I learned, or I taught myself that to get hide under the work and just get the work done, and hoping that I will be recognized and someone will find me and can just see what a fantastic architect I am. But part of the work is ourselves to show up and allow ourselves to be seen and to be heard. Especially for architectural practice, is it has this physicality of it that needs to be seen and needs to be talked about, and I need to teach it to people, that thought process that has gone through it. And I was so shy to talk about it. I was waiting someone to come and find me and introduce me to the world, but where we live and the words that we need, if we are in it now, it's my job to introduce myself to the world with the pride. If I can celebrate my projects, my work, and the value I bring to the work, it can also be seen and people can also notice me. And being visible is a challenging work for me, just to put myself out there. Especially when you're running a business, you are part of the brand. And just the shame and hiding behind the work is not going to help to expand the work and access those projects and clients that I'm really looking for. So we worked on that to allow myself to be seen, to be heard, and to be celebrated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How does that show up for you in your life? How do you allow yourself to receive that praise, that acknowledgement, the celebration? And what does that feel like for you?
I guess everything starts from self. Obviously, when I accept myself as someone who has something to say, if I'm proud of and certain about the quality of the work that I'm offering, it's much easier to convince others, and it will happen automatically. So for me, it started from looking inwards and looking at the values that I bring to the table, to the project, accepting it myself. First, celebration, starting celebrating inside, and then it will automatically, I can talk about my work without feeling that I'm too much. So when it's happening naturally and intuitively, it's very, you'll see the flow, and people also would notice it. And to me, the best part was just being in the state of flow and being in lightness and being comfortable in my own skin.
Yes. Yeah, so once you started relating to yourself and seeing yourself differently, it actually allowed you to accept that other people saw you in that way as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because, yeah, you keep referring to it as your mindset and having like a mindset shift, but I just want to be really technical. What we're actually talking about is much deeper than your mindset. It's your belief system, right? It's what you
Yeah.
believe to be true about yourself and about life. And how when we shift at a foundational level what we believe to be true and possible for ourselves and in this life, then that's actually when those outer shifts that we are desiring can happen. Do you agree with that? Is that something that you have seen to be true in your own process?
Absolutely, yes, exactly. I use the word mindset, but it's definitely accessing my belief system and reevaluating them. No matter what our upbringing was, we are in the world that we have access to so much knowledge and able to relearn, teaching ourselves again. And no matter what was the start point, we can definitely teach ourselves new beliefing system and evaluating whatever was the start point.
Yeah. Yeah, your current circumstances don't determine where you're going to go, right? They only determine where you start. I probably butchered that quote, but
Well said, yeah.
yeah, amazing. What else stands out to you in terms of those energetic shifts that we were able to create during our time together?
Yeah, for me, the entire process was very, very interesting. Just to allow myself to go deep without getting judged. I was judging myself, but I never felt that I've been judged with all the topics that I brought up. And you worked like a perfect mirror to show my blind spots to me. And I remember when our sessions were towards the end, I realized I managed to do like a deep house cleaning. Imagine having a room, having a house with lots of rooms that you just throw stuff in it, and it's so messy that you never want to go back and check what's inside, and they look scary, but it always takes some space in your mind. And for me, it was those sessions allow me to go to those rooms, open up and see what's inside, what I have shoveled in for years and never looked back, and try to start cleaning them up. And it was such a fantastic feeling that I cleaned up so many mess accumulated over the years, and some of them are still there, but at least I know they are there, and I have time to go back and visit them and address them. But it was a good body scan. What we went through, it was scanning whatever is my belief system, the repeating patterns, and trying to understand why certain things happens over and over, and receiving some tools to go through those cleanup, those deep house cleaning.
Yeah. That's such a good way to put it. I remember you were talking about, I feel like I have all these open boxes in my house and I'm finally getting to them, clearing them out and putting things away and organizing things. And this is all your internal house, your internal landscape, which honestly, many of us don't spend that much time in. We just take it for what it is. And we're like, okay, this is my thought and it is the way that it is. And we don't even know what our belief systems are, or know that our beliefs are simply beliefs and not truth, and that we can just choose to believe something else.
Absolutely, right? Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it really is that simple at the end of the day. Nadi, what have you been learning about how much power you actually have and how much choice you actually have?
Oh, yeah. So actually, by learning to say no, I basically was choosing to say no, and choosing it from a certainty, being certain that I can choose to say no guilt-free. It's empowering. It's really empowering to know what you want, what is good for you, and also receiving more respect from people that work with you. And you set the boundaries, and people learn to respect it. This is your boundaries. If you're not crossing, no one can cross it over. And it's really empowering, really, I like to use the word of joy and light and happy and power. For me, like being a person with like autonomy was one of my values and something that, I want to be in control of my decisions and all of that. But sometimes I was so compulsive to say yes, and it's not freedom. When we are making a decision out of compulsion, it's the opposite side of the freedom and autonomy. And autonomy is just to making good choices from the high level of energy.
Yeah, making good choices from that clear, focused state. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. And what have you been learning about creativity, the creative process, you as a creative human, and bringing that into not just your work, but your life?
Yeah, everything started from opening the space. Then my time is always scheduled for so many things. At some point, I get to that trap of getting things done over and over. And that's the enemy of creativity, like being creative. And when I allow myself to do nothing and rest and open up my calendar for some free time, definitely I started getting ideas for work and just how to interact with people. And so basically by taking them less allowed me to open up that creative fountain. Yeah.
Yeah, beautifully said. And I think you're touching on something that a lot of people who talk about creativity and the creative process talk about a lot, which is giving yourself the space to basically do nothing, because creativity, it comes when we're not trying.
Yeah.
And ideas and inspiration come to us magically, randomly. Like yes, we can have creative workshops and there's tools that we can use to like really enhance creativity in the creative process. But what you're talking about here, giving yourself the space, is so important for someone like you who relies on creativity as a profession, but all of us rely on creativity in some way. Creativity is simply solving problems, looking at things from a different perspective. When every moment we can bring our creativity to the table, and getting to a point where you actually allow yourself to have that space to rest, to do nothing and not feel guilty for it, and in fact know that this is a key part of your process and that it's just as important as everything else. That's a massive transformation in the way that you view life and the way that you view specifically time and how to spend time and efficient use of time. So I really want to highlight that for people listening, because everything that you just said, like, it sounds simple and we've all heard it before, but I really want to highlight the inner work that it actually takes to be someone who lives a creative life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And simple is not easy. Simple looks easy, but
Simple
there's
is
a word.
simple. Yeah.
Simple is, yeah.
Simple is
There
simple,
has
it's
been
not
a process to come up with a simple, clean
Yeah.
plate. And it really needs that inner work and trying to get rid of the noises and whatever is not necessary, and just putting the right amount of whatever in our life. And that's simple and easy, and that's the key.
Yeah, totally. And can you let people know what are some practices, habits, tools, routines that you've developed or that have stayed with you since our time together and since you started approaching life from a more energetic perspective?
Yeah, definitely taking care of my health and sleep was fundamental. And what I'm trying to work on is allowing time for meditation in the morning and in the afternoon. And that's part of being still and just observing whatever is coming to our minds and let them come and go and just be the observer rather than judging them. So that's a very good tool and practice that I try to implement in my life. Breath work has been a great tool in my life. I've been joining different breathwork sessions, and another one will start this Monday morning for 3 weeks. That's very helpful. All the breathing techniques is very helpful for me to release all the stress and anxiety that I have, and also create that stillness. And also being part of the community of like-minded people, having people that I can reach out to besides work and clients, and people that we can discuss freely and openly about trying to access those tools that are within us, but we forgot to tap into them.
What would you say to people like yourself, or maybe people like you a year ago, right? High achieving, purpose driven, passionate, but they feel stuck, misaligned, drained, even though maybe their life looks successful on the outside. What would you say to those people?
Yeah, I remember my friends were telling me that, oh, seems that you've got a lot and you've gone so far. What's wrong with you? Why you're not happy? And it was me a year ago, and I was to that point of my life that I felt that I'm about to drop off whatever I've been carrying so many years. And maybe we don't need to take to that point to reach out to someone to help us. Maybe I could have done it 2 years ago and reached out to a coach to walk the way with me, to show my blind spots, to reflect what's inside of me and to help me to go to do that inner work. And it's not easy. The inner work is not easy. And we definitely need to ask for help. And we cannot do it all on our own. So, yeah, whoever is feeling stuck, feeling on a crossroad, without getting to that crisis point, we can reach out to people to help us and let this path to be easier and smoother with more joy. And doesn't need to be difficult. Life doesn't need to be difficult. Mm-hmm. It could be easy. It could be simple. With all the goals that we have, with all the desires that we wish to achieve, we can approach it like easier and lighter with less struggle.
That's a beautiful message of hope, because a simpler, more truthful, more aligned life is definitely available and possible for anyone out there who's willing to put in a little bit of work to get to know themselves and then to take the actions necessary to align the outside with their truth inside and within.
Yeah.
And you were such a great student in terms of I feel like you really studied the levels of energy and really applied everything, and you did your homework and the assignments and all the action steps that we put together for you at the end of each session. And a lot of my clients are like that. And I think when you hire a coach, you're probably at that point where you're like, hey, I'm making the investment, I'm gonna do that, right? Can you share with people how embracing and understanding energy and consciousness more deeply impacts you on a day-to-day basis, especially when you're facing challenges?
Yeah, exactly. After each session, we had some homework to do and going through those questionnaires and all of that. And that was enforcing whatever we discussed in our 1 hour sessions. Basically going through those homeworks and putting time aside to think on the answers. It will help me to look at those values and energy levels and those decision makings differently, and trying to find which part of it can I implement into my life, which part of it I already have it, and how far can I go, and what are the possibilities. That definitely helps me to go through that journey and trying to embedding those energy levels in my day-to-day life. And now every time I get to that point of victim or judgmental or feeling worthiness, all of that, I will try to go back and look at whatever I learned and see, okay, how can I shift my energy and how can I shift my perspective from those low level of energies to higher level of energy.
It sounds like you've almost learned to be your own energy coach. Yeah.
I'm trying, yes.
Yeah. And how has embracing high consciousness, anabolic energy changed the way that you live on a day-to-day basis?
For sure it does, and it's not getting triggered by simple things. It helps me to be more solid, more grounded, more mindfulness. And that's part of being in a higher level of consciousness, just to be aware of what's happening inside me and what's happening around the world, and knowing my abilities and my limit. What can I do, and what are my choices around whatever is happening around me. So definitely helping me every single day.
It sounds like you're much more aware, have much more autonomy, and you're a reflective person who takes everything that comes her way as an opportunity to reflect, to learn more about yourself, and to embed your values and your desires into everything. It's beautiful.
Working on it, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it's a never-ending journey, and I'm just happy to have been a small part of your journey.
It's been an amazing journey, and no one better than you could walk me through this path.
Oh.
I should say something, to be honest with you. Like, at the beginning, I was thinking that because of the cultural gap and the age gap, I'm much older than you, so I'm not sure. But listening to all of your podcasts and seeing that you are a person who are so open and transparent about your growth and that healing journey that you're taking, and sharing that with everyone around the world. Working with someone who's so open and courageous to share her life with people. Age and cultural differences, at the end, we are all human beings and we have the same core values, and you're looking for those human connections, and that's the most important thing. And so no one better than you could help me through this path.
Oh, I'm touched and honored. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. And it's totally understandable to look at someone younger than you and think, just to question the level of experience and wisdom that they might have. And I'm glad that you leaned into your intuition and your heart rather than the logic, that you leaned into this decision. And yeah, it's true. Like, I've coached people in their 60s, which is amazing and always such an honor and honestly so inspiring. And yeah, you're right. It's all about energy, right?
Thank you.
Yeah. Nadi, what are you most proud of about who you're becoming and who you are today?
For me, I'm proud of being able to shift from a confused and overwhelmed and burned out person over the year. And now I'm carrying the same responsibilities, but I'm approaching the life much easier, much lighter, with joy. And I'm proud of myself to bring joy to my life, introduce it back to my life. And I hope I can reflect it to everyone around me and to my projects.
Oh, you definitely do.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, not right. You're always reflecting whatever it is that you are. And so it's just natural that you're going to reflect that joy and all those things back. Yeah. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to share with people listening about anything at all about your journey and what you've been learning, or any significant shifts that you feel like you want to share about?
This is ongoing work, and as we are evolving, the possibilities are also endless, and just learning how to tapping into our creative side, our intuition, that's the key. And sometimes we need help to just open up whatever we did not allow ourselves to look into that, and give ourselves permission to seek help. And that's the key to approach the life much easier and happier.
Accepting help. Yeah.
Accepting help. Yeah.
Receiving on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And getting over all your own bullshit that's telling you that you have to do it all. You have to tell yourself. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Amazing. So you are in school, you're doing your PhD, and that's going to be a year or two? Or
3
maybe more?
years,
Three
if I'm a good
years.
student.
Amazing. Well, that's going to be keeping you busy. You still obviously have your firm and projects
Yes.
that you're working on. What do you want to share with people about what's next for you, what you're working on?
Yeah, actually, my school thesis is about looking at, I'm running a small practice of architecture, and I always looked at architecture as I wanted to create meaningful and purposeful buildings. And purposeful buildings and architecture is to be honest to people that we are helping them, to think about generations of people who are going to come, live, work, and play in those spaces, being truthful to the land, to the environment. And that's something I like to focus my work towards that. And my thesis is going to be around that as a small practice of architecture, how we can bring all of those values to the projects and creating long-lasting, meaningful, purposeful projects for everyone who's going to use those spaces. That's my goal.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Please continue to check in and send me updates because I love to hear from you. And thank you so much for coming on today and sharing. I think that your testimony here really highlights that it's all about just continuing to stay on the path and the perspective shift that I think a lot of people listening might be able to benefit from, which I think that you embody so beautifully, is that it's about continuing to take those next steps that feel right for you and knowing that it's a process. It unfolds and there's not really an end goal. There's only forward progress and there's backward progress and there's no progress at all. And it's up to you where you want to be, right? But if you're someone who wants to continue making progress, continue moving forward, working with a coach, doing a psychedelic journey, finding practices that work for you, those are all great and they're going to support you. But at the end of the day, like you said many times today, it all starts with you. It all starts within you. Hopefully people listening, folks listening are looking for tools and support systems that are a reminder that it does really all start with you and that everything is within you.
Absolutely.
And you embody that beautifully. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today, and looking forward to listening to more of your podcast and connecting to you in the very near future.
Sending you a big hug and so much love and best of luck with your PhD and keep enjoying it and learning and growing.
Thank you very much.
Well, I hope that you enjoyed hearing about Nadi's transformation. She is a pretty incredible woman, isn't she? And if you saw yourself in Nadi or any of her journey resonated with where you're at and you would like to have a similar transformation in your energy and that inner work, please apply for my coaching program. You can do that at modernpsychedelics.net/apply. And if you want any links for learning more about the program, that's all in the show notes. Modernpsychedelics.net is the website. Just go to the coaching tab. There you can find the 6-month program, the Iboga program, and also if you're not ready to dive into a 6-month container, I am currently offering something called Focus Transformation Coaching. It's a mini container that's very accessible and it's 3 sessions. So if you want to dip your feet in and if you have a very specific area in your life, a specific relationship, a specific situation that you're wanting to get coaching support on, you can also check out the Focus Transformation Coaching offer. I'll see you guys next time. Have a beautiful day and sending you lots of love from sunny Baja.